Have you ever worked for a boss who manipulates, gaslights, and twists reality, yet they keep getting promoted? It's not your imagination, and it's not bad luck. A groundbreaking study from UBC's Sauder School of Business just exposed the disturbing truth. Managers who use dark psychology tactics don't just survive in corporations. They thrive, they advance, they get rewarded. And if you've ever wondered why the most manipulative people in your workplace keep climbing the ladder, this video will give you the answer. I'm going to break down the 5 dark psychology tactics your boss probably uses, backed by actual 2026 research. But first, let me tell you about the study that exposed this system. Published in the Journal of Managerial Psychology, April 2026, researchers at the University of British Columbia tracked hundreds of managers across multiple industries. And what they found will make your blood boil. Managers who consistently used manipulation tactics were 47% more likely to receive promotions within 18 months. 47%. Not for being more skilled, not for being more productive, but for being more manipulative. The researchers identified 5 specific tactics that predicted career advancement. And I'm willing to bet at least 3 of these are happening in your workplace right now. Let's dive into each one. And more importantly, how to protect yourself. Tactic number 1, gaslighting at scale. This isn't the amateur gaslighting you see in toxic relationships. This is corporate gaslighting, refined, polished, systematized. Here's how it works. Your boss makes a decision, a bad one. Maybe they cut your team's budget. Maybe they reassign your project. Maybe they promise you something and then deny ever saying it. When you question it, they don't defend the decision. They question your sanity. That's not what happened. You must have misunderstood. Are you sure you're remembering this correctly? Slowly, you start doubling down on your own memory. You start apologizing for bringing it up. You start questioning whether you're the problem. The UBC study found that managers who used gaslighting were perceived as more confident and decisive by their own bosses, even when their decisions were objectively worse. Why? Because confidence looks like competence, even when it's completely undeserved. How to protect yourself? Document everything. Emails, meeting notes, screenshots. When they say that never happened, you have proof that it did. Don't confront them publicly. Don't call them a liar. Just have the receipts. For yourself, for your sanity, for when you need to escape. Tactic number 2, triangulation. This one is vicious, and most people don't even realize it's happening. Triangulation is when your boss brings a third person into your conflict to shift the power dynamic. Here's the scenario. You and your boss disagree on something. Maybe it's your performance review. Maybe it's a project deadline. Maybe it's a raise you asked for. Instead of addressing it directly, they CC their boss on the email. They mention, "I'll need to run this by HR." They say, "Let me check with the team." Suddenly, it's not you versus your boss anymore. It's you versus the entire system. The UBC researchers called this power diffusion, and they found it was the single most effective tactic for avoiding accountability. Because now you're not fighting one person, you're fighting an institution. And here's the kicker. The study found that managers who used triangulation were rated as better communicators by senior leadership. Because they looked like they were being transparent. When in reality, they were building a wall of people between themselves and consequence. How to protect yourself. Keep it direct. When they bring in a third party, say, "I'd like to continue this conversation with you first." If they insist on bringing others in, fine, but document that too. Every person they CC. Every meeting they schedule. Every time they escalate without cause. Patterns emerge, and patterns are evidence. Tactic number 3, DARVO. This is the big one. And if you've ever been in a workplace where you felt like the villain for pointing out a problem, you've experienced this. DARVO stands for Deny, Attack, Reverse Victim and Offender. Here's the playbook. Step 1, deny. I never said that. That's not what happened. You're confused. Step 2, attack. You're being unprofessional. Maybe you should work on your communication skills. I've heard concerns about your attitude. Step 3, Reverse victim and offender. Actually, I'm the one who's been stressed here. I've been trying to support you. Maybe you should think about whether this role is right for you. And just like that, you came in with a complaint, and you left apologizing for your existence. The UBC study found that managers who used DARVO were 63% less likely to face formal complaints because their targets were too busy defending themselves to file anything. Let that sink in. The tactic that protects them is the one that makes you question whether you're the problem. How to protect yourself? Name it. When you recognize the pattern, say it out loud, calmly, professionally. It feels like we're moving away from the original issue. I'd like to stay focused on what happened. Can we return to the specific concern I raised? You don't have to accuse them of using DARVO, but naming the pattern breaks the spell. And if they escalate, that's your signal to start exiting. Because some battles aren't meant to be won, they're meant to be escaped. Tactic number 4, strategic kindness. This one is insidious because it looks like genuine care. Here's the move. Your boss is harsh, critical, demanding. But every few weeks, they'll do something nice. They'll bring you coffee. They'll ask about your weekend. They'll say, I know I'm tough on you, but it's because I see potential. And that random kindness, that's the trap. Psychology calls this intermittent reinforcement. And it's the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive. Your brain gets wired to chase that random kindness, to tolerate the abuse, because sometimes you get the reward. The UBC researchers found that managers who combined harsh criticism with occasional kindness had higher employee retention, not lower. Because employees didn't leave. They held on, waiting for the next hit of validation. How to protect yourself? Recognize the pattern. Kindness should be consistent, not random. Support should be predictable, not intermittent. When you notice yourself waiting for their approval, that's your signal. That's the addiction talking. And addiction has one cure: distance. Tactic number 5, credit redistribution. This is the one that hurts the most because it steals your work. Here's how it goes. You present an idea. Your boss says interesting, nothing more. 2 weeks later, in a meeting with senior leadership, your boss presents the exact same idea. But now it's theirs. And when you point it out, they say we build on each other's ideas here. Or nothing happens in a vacuum. Or my favorite, I'm glad you see the value in this. The UBC study found that managers who regularly redistributed credit were 52% more likely to be nominated for leadership awards. 52%. They're not just stealing your work, they're building their career on your back. How to protect yourself? Timestamp everything. Email your ideas to yourself. Slack your proposals to your boss with red receipts on. Create a paper trail that shows when you originated something. And when they present it as theirs, don't confront in the moment. Follow up after. Great presentation earlier. Glad you liked the idea I sent on that date. Want to collaborate on the next phase? Polite, professional, and a reminder that this was yours. Some of them will get the message, others will double down. And that's when you know it's time to leave. Here's the reality check. The UBC study didn't just expose these tactics, it exposed the system that rewards them. 85% of workplace betrayals aren't major events. They're small, daily, microaggressions that accumulate until you quit. And the managers who use these tactics, they don't get caught. They get promoted. So what do? Option 1, fight. Document everything. Name the patterns. Set boundaries. Know that it might not change anything, but you'll keep your sanity. Option 2, leave. Not in anger, not in desperation, but in strategy. Find a team where skill is rewarded more than manipulation. Because here's what the study didn't say. Yes, these tactics work in the short term. Yes, they get promotions. Yes, they climb. But the researchers also found something else. Teams led by dark psychology managers have 3x turnover, 2x more formal complaints, and 4x more sick days. They win, but their teams lose. And eventually, the system catches up. Not always, not quickly, but eventually. Until then, protect yourself. Document everything. And remember, Their success isn't a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of a broken system. And you don't owe that system your sanity. If this video helped you see the patterns, subscribe for daily psychology hacks. Every week, I break down the research behind betrayal, manipulation, and how to protect yourself. And if you're dealing with this right now, check the tagged video for the full Workplace Betrayal series. You're not crazy, you're not alone, and you deserve better than a boss who profits from your confusion. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.